This is Todd Atkins. I'm back today. I'm going to be talking with James McSweeney. Kind of old school guy. Kind of right up my alley, so to speak. How you doing, John? I'm good. How are you? Trying to get James to join up here. You're going back to Hawaii, I saw. Are you going back there for good or just to visit? Hey, John, are you going back to Hawaii for good or just visiting? I'll visit. Okay. Don't want to move back? Too expensive. What's up, James? Right, so I accepted your invite. Hey, James, how you doing?
I'm not bad, buddy. How are you?
Good. How are you? So I
Yeah,
appreciate you
good.
taking the time to do this. I know you're busy and all.
Oh, no, it's no problem. I'm sorry I missed you last week.
No, it's quite all right. I kind of wanted. I know you probably talked about your background a lot, but well, maybe we could kind of talk a little bit about when you started, just for people that may not be familiar with you. You could
Yeah,
kind
for sure.
Yeah.
When I originally started
Yeah.
martial arts, okay. Yeah, I started when I was about 5, 6 years old. I think I was around 5. And just like anybody else, just get into hobby. I was a very active child, so I had a lot of different hobbies. I went from judo to kickboxing to Muay Thai, and then as it just kind of grew from a young kid, just I was playing soccer as well. I was always playing rugby at school. I was always interested in all different kind of sports. I was very athletic, but my physique wasn't athletic as a kid. I was always overweight as a child, but people couldn't really believe I could do what I could do for my size. But what didn't get really serious for me until my teenage years. I started to have like more smaller fights and stuff like that inside my club. And then, opportunity to go to Thailand, train in Thailand as a kid, came back, trained with another good friend of mine, unfortunately he passed, Chris Ballard, trained with him for years. And then, it started to get real serious for me. Then we started to go over to Holland, train in Holland, and I've been training in Holland my whole career. Started off in kickboxing, went to Muay Thai back to kickboxing the K1. And then in the early part of the 2000s, K1 was kind of struggling, and got the opportunity to go over to America to train. Had a couple, I think I had one MMA fight or something like that. I had a very fast knockout. I think it was like 9 seconds in London. That kind of put me out there a little bit amongst the MMA community, and I got opportunity to go to America, train at Greg Jackson's in Albuquerque. I did that, and then when I got there, just kind of blended in with them at Jackson's. And then next thing I know, I was in the Ultimate Fighter House. Ultimate Fighter House led to a contract with the UFC. Then after my career with my contract with UFC expired, I went over to ONE FC to KSW in Europe. KSW then fought for a load of different MMA shows all over the world. And then just gone back now last year, signed with Glory.
Now, I want to ask about Holland, because, Holland was such an important place, especially back then, for the fight game. Kind of tell me a little bit about when you got there, because it was such an influential place for MMA in the 90s and stuff, which is when you kind of went over there, right?
Yeah, I went over there in, I think it was late 1990s, early 2000s, and didn't really have a home there at the time, just try to find our way. We used to go to different gyms. I went with another guy from England called Gary Turner at the time. He was a K1 champion of the UK at that time. He was older than me and kind of took me under his wing. We went over to Holland together. We trained at, a long time ago now. Where do we start off? I trained with Peter Arts for the first time and René LaRousse. Then we used to go to Yeah, we used to go to different gyms. But on Thursday night, we used to go to Lucian gym to spar, and I don't know why. Like we used to, go, we knew why we used to go there. The sparring was fantastic, but I don't know why we didn't train there, like doing techniques and stuff there. So we used to just go there for sparring. But then I remember the first time I walked in and just saw a whole gym full of murderers. It was like Alistair Overeem, Tyrone Spong, Gilbert Ivell, Rodney Viveres. The list just went on. There were so many good guys. Lucian Carbin was the coach, and these guys were just like I know I trained in Thailand for years as well, and I felt like when I went there, I felt like I was a complete beginner. These guys just absolutely beat the piss out of me every day, and so I was like, you know what, I want to be able to fight like this. So I committed to Lucian in the gym. I trained there for like 6 months, and I don't think anyone really spoke to me at all. And then after 6 months of really like, you know, showing up nonstop, taking the punishment, not giving in, I kind of earned my stripes, took some big fights, and kind of earned my stripes for the gym. And then, yeah, I was taking him with open arms.
Well, what was the difference or the disconnect between Thailand and Holland, do you think?
Do you know what? We have this conversation a lot, but I lived in Thailand for 6 years prior to moving back to America. So I have a lot of experience in Thailand, and it's just a different style. The European style, the Dutch style, suited my personality. It was a bit more aggressive. It was more boxing, knees, yeah, good kicks, but they just put the fluidness of the combination together a little bit more nicely, from my opinion. I like boxing as well. So whereas in Thailand, they don't box as much. And then there's more of a pattern to the Muay Thai kind of style, right? There's more of a beat as the way they walk, the way they march. They'll throw 3 or 4 punches, stop, and then throw a single kick or single double kicks. Whereas Thai style or the Dutch style kickboxing is like punch, kick, knee kick. There's always a good flow to the speed. They go to the body a lot more. Yeah, this is a different kind of style, and everyone. It's like a restaurant, right? I kind of describe it like this may be your favorite restaurant, but this is my favorite restaurant. We can still get along. It's just a different style and taste. You know, that was my tasteful style in fighting, and at the time, and even to this day, I think if anyone sees me fight or train, they would say I was Dutch style. I've been learning Dutch style kickboxing for over 22 years. So I pretty much committed my entire career to the Dutch style of fighting. So yeah, I used to train in Holland from Monday to Friday, and then come home to England at weekends. It was a 30-minute flight from Stansted Airport in London to Schiphol. So I used to get up early Monday morning, take a red-eye flight, like 5, 6 in the morning, 30 minutes, land in Amsterdam, go straight to where I was staying, go straight to the gym, train for the whole week, come home Friday night. I would work security. I had a security company in London, and then I would work security all weekend, earn some money, and then go back Monday and do it all again. So I did that pretty much for like 6 or 7 years straight. And then eventually, when I came to America, of course, I couldn't really train in Holland as much, but I did used to fly my Dutch coaches all over the world to train me, either in America or Thailand or Australia. They all come out to train me at the time.
But what I mean is, when you said that they were kind of taking it to you when you first went to their gym, you said they, you know, and you had been training in what was it, because of the boxing that you had a hard time adjusting to what they were doing, or was it just they were more aggressive?
No, I was just kind of used to a bit more of a slower pace, like the Muay Thai kind of pace, the Thai pace, and getting like the slow start, get faster as we fight, you know. And the Dutch just don't do that. They just come at you like from the start. And I was just fascinated from low kicks to liver punches, from knees to the body, knees to the head. To you never knew that there was no pattern to what they were doing. If they were gonna, like, there was a fake kick, there was a punch coming. If there was a punch, there was a kick coming. If there was a knee coming, there was another punch. It was just like an onslaught of different techniques coming your way, and it was very difficult to defend about. And I found it very difficult to control the pace. So I was I was hooked. It just felt like I needed to understand what this was. I wanted to learn as quickly as possible, and it wasn't a quick process. I got my ass kicked for years.
Now, what's it like going over there? You didn't know anybody, right? So you and your friend were kind of having to figure out where to stay and all this stuff.
Yeah, Gary kind of trained with us at Lucian's for a while. But then eventually he went his own path, and I think he stopped fighting. He was a little bit older. It was difficult because it was a predominantly. I think I got a picture in my gym. I look at the picture. There's like 20 people in the pitch, and I think I'm the only white guy there. Everyone was from Suriname Dutch. So everyone, and it was like I was this big white tattooed bald-headed guy coming into the gym from England. So you can imagine there was a target on my back daily. So, and you know what? I understand why, because now being trained in Holland for such a long time, you see such an influx of people coming in, taking their techniques and then leaving, you know, not really committing to the gym. So just take and leave. So I see why they use or give foreigners a harder time to get into the gym and commit, because, yeah, there's a lot of people just come in, take and go. So, so they come in and take the techniques and then they leave. And so yeah, that's not good. You know, not people commit and then they don't last too long. So they just kind of just walk in, try and get what they can get and get out, or they don't test a period of time. So they use those people for good sparring. They use those people to beat up on a little bit. And then if they can less the test of time, they can pass the test or stay, longevity, then I guess they become a part of the team. So I see why that happens. And that also happens in Thailand a lot as well, because you get people going there for 90-day visas, train a little bit, work with some Thais, then go home and then claim that they're Thai style. But no, you're just a tourist that paid a little bit of money to train with some Thais, and they didn't really give you the good stuff. They just gave you enough to get their one-to-one fee, and that was it. So you kind of see that, right? Then they come back to their country, whether it's America or England or whatever, and they come back with some diluted Thai boxing and open up a gym and think they know how to teach Muay Thai.
Now, who helped you find like a place to stay and stuff like that?
Well, the early days, I never had a place to stay. To be honest, I wasn't very wealthy at the time. And I had a house in England, but I never had extra money. I used to just literally go to Holland. And I remember the first few months, I actually slept on balconies. Close to the gym where I stayed, I had a little bit of money. It was either food or accommodation. So I used to get a sleeping bag and sleep on the balcony of someone's. There's all these high-rise in America. They're called you call them apartments, but in Europe they're like flats. But they're high-rise, council-given, cheap accommodation, helping by the government. So yeah, from our side, I never really had a place to stay. But then after a few months, I think people started to realize I was sleeping rough. I'd go to the gym early and shower and brush my teeth and I'd be always the first person in the gym, and then I would kind of wait after and shower and then walk late and then get back to my place and take a nap when it was dark, so no one saw me on their balconies. But eventually, Lucian kind of picked me up and said to me, "Hey, let me take you to where you're staying." And I was like, "Oh no, it's okay. I'm just gonna go and get something to eat." I didn't want to tell him. I felt embarrassed. And he's like, "No, I'm gonna take you to where you stay." And I couldn't answer. It was tough. So I just said to him, "Well, I couldn't lie." I said, "Listen, I don't have a place." And he said, "Yeah, I know. You come and stay at my house." So I slept on his couch, and then me and Lucian got closer, and every time I stayed over there, then I would stay on his couch. And then eventually, when I earned enough money, I would get, years later down the line, it was years later too, I had enough money to get like a little Airbnb or a place to stay.
Well, I mean, like these people you're sleeping on their balconies, I take it you knew them, right? Or
No, they didn't. They didn't know.
Up on their balcony, kind of?
No, they didn't know, because these are just like on the side, like don't you ever been to Amsterdam? There's certain places there that like different cities. This place was in Diemen, which isn't the most safest place in Holland. And yeah, there was just like high-rise apartments, right? They're all stacked on top of each other, and they'll have a little grill balcony. So I used to just hop the balcony at night when it was dark, just lay in the corner with a pillow and go to sleep. And then before they wake up, get out quick.
So no one ever came out and saw you?
Luckily, no. Luckily, no one ever knew that. Maybe they would have helped me out, or maybe not, they kicked me in my ass. I don't know. But yeah, I never had no choice at the time.
How long did you have to do that?
I probably did it for over 6 months.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that no one ever saw you. You know what I mean? That's like.
Well, I had to change. I couldn't stay in the same place all the time, because I was concerned that someone would see me, and sometimes depends. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really have anyone to go to. Same as when I came to America. When I first came to America, I came here with a very small piece of money, and I slept at Jackson's gym. and we used to try and sleep upstairs in the gym. But when we first came over, it was kind of organized upstairs. There was like bunk beds up there, and there was like fighters used to actually stay up there properly. And then after a few months of being over, a new manager took over, and it kind of changed, and he kind of made it like a hostel where if people were just traveling, anyone could just rent a bed upstairs. So next thing you know, it wasn't like athletes staying there anymore. It was just anybody. And this is going back, I know it's very different now, I'm sure, but this was going back 14, 15 years ago when I first came to America. So eventually I used to just sleep in the cage at night. And I remember it was so cold. I never had much money, we used to sleep because they turned the heating off at night, So I didn't want to sleep up there with all people traveling around America. They were just young kids, and it wasn't the best kind of people at the time. So I used to go downstairs and sleep in the cage, and I sleep on the Thai pad with a hoodie and just go to sleep. And eventually I was very lucky that some of the fighters, Keith Jardine was a very good friend of mine, and they realized that I was sleeping kind of rough there, and then they put me on to another friend, and we shared a house together at the time. So then I got on my feet, and I was in the UFC, started to earn a bit of money, and then it started to grow.
How do you think Lucian knew that you were, kind of sleeping on the
I think, he's a smart guy. He's got certain street attributes he could tell. Probably I stunk, I don't know. But I think he could just see that I would be at the gym I'm always early to the gym, which is great. But I think that he kind of knew that, like, hang on a second, he's always like, the owner of the gym would say to him, I think James has been here for hours. He come here early, he's had a shower, he's been here for hours. And then at the end of the day, I would wait till everyone left so I could shower, get changed, and then like take the slow walk back, because I had to wait until it got dark. So I had nowhere to go, so I would just kind of hang out in the gym, just killing time, just waiting to walk back to go to sleep.
Now let's talk about Jackson's a little bit, because this is another, like, kind of like Holland, another influential gym, especially at that time. So What was it like, your memories of when you got there?
It was really cool. I mean, I was kind of blown away. I remember getting a phone call, and I didn't really believe it was Greg Jackson. I actually put the phone down on him. I thought it was one of my friends fucking with me. And then he called me back, and I actually was like, oh shit, it actually is him. So I was getting invited to go over there and train, and everyone was really nice to me. Everyone was really cool. Looking back on it, probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was leaving back in my MMA career. I left to go to Denver. I was younger. I was 15 years ago. I was like 27 or something, coming from London. I was a little bit hot-headed, and I made an emotional decision, which wasn't the correct one. And I said, okay, after being there for I think it was like over a year and a half or something, I said, okay, I'm leaving. And me and Greg had a disagreement, and I left, which was, it was immature, and I shouldn't have done it. Looking back, it was probably one of the more mistakes that I made in my career that I regret. And being a little bit older, it's weird, because I was actually trying to find his number, because I wanted to apologize. Because I treated him a little bit harshly. I think I made a harsh decision, and I think that being older and more mature, you deserve to apologize to somebody. If you make a mistake or you've treated them. Greg was good to me. He trained me. He gave me looking back now, what I know, he actually probably helped me the most in MMA, better than most other people did. And but hey, this is a part of the game, right? We make mistakes as kids. And as now I feel I'm 42 now, right? 42 this year. So being older, as a man, you should, if you did something wrong, you should say sorry for it. So, I'm sure, I don't know if he holds any hard feelings. I'm sure he doesn't. Greg's been very successful and a great coach. But, so it was a good gym, very good gym. We had good guys were there. When I was there at that time, Keith Jardine was there. Rashad Evans was there. Jon Jones was just arriving. And there was just a whole Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, there was just a whole gym full of studs. And, yet again, just a foreigner coming in, not knowing anything about MMA. I had no MMA background whatsoever, trying to learn the ropes. And, it was a tough road. It was tough, because you go from being like, I consider myself quite successful at kickboxing back then. I had already just beaten a couple of very good guys like Michael McDonald, the American K1 champion, and Takiri, the Japanese K1 champion. So going from being like ahead in your field to go and to be in like zero in this new field was tough for the ego. It was tough, you know, and being young, your ego is high. And yeah, it was a rocky road for me. So you had to kind of just like, you know, go with what you felt at the time was best. But yeah, I made a harsh decision and it was probably a mistake.
Did you ever talk to Greg after that?
No, we saw each other after, years later. And we had no hard feelings. We shook hands. And I think at the time I was cornering Frank Mir when he fought Alistair Overeem, which was Alistair's my friend. So he was fighting Alistair for the UFC, and I was cornering Frank. I trained Frank for that fight, and I saw him backstage, and I think Frank used to train with Greg at then. So we saw each other backstage. They were kind of talking. I saw Greg. We had a big handshake and hello. Greg's a cool guy. Always big smiles. How you doing? Very nice, personable guy. A big hug, and yeah. And there was no hard feelings. But even then, like I was in the middle of the changing camp, right? We're about to go out to fight in like an hour. So I didn't have a chance to sit down with him and have like, hey, Greg, you know, I just want to say that I apologize. I feel like this was a mistake back then. I was a young kid and, you know, my emotions got the better of me and I made a harsh decision. But I couldn't because I was there to corner Frank, right? So I was in a different mode. It would have been appropriate to sit someone down, have that kind of heart-to-heart conversation. So we never got a chance even then. And then, yeah, just time. Next thing you know, like that's 8-9 years ago has flown by and time flies, right?
No, well, I mean, I know you may not want to say, but was it like a fight-related decision where you just decided you didn't want to stay, or?
No, it wasn't just a fight-related decision. I'm trying to remember what went down. It was kind of like, I think someone had asked me about one of the coaches there. And I said, I think he's a good coach. But for me personally, his style was completely different from working with me. And someone ran back to Greg and kind of made out that I was talking bad about that coach. And I really wasn't. I felt they asked me the question and I was the guy's a very good coach. He just didn't suit my style. He was more of a traditional kickboxing style, if you like, and it didn't suit my style coming from Holland, which is quite flamboyant and quite like high energy system, you know. So instead of working with that coach, I worked with Phil Nurse, who was George St. Pierre's coach. He was English and he had a very unorthodox striking style too. So I just blended more with Phil Nurse than I did with the other guy. So I wasn't disrespectful about him, but I think somebody who asked me that question, I don't even remember who it was now, ran back to Greg and kind of gave him as if like I said something bad about the coach. So then Greg, I think, went around the whole gym asking everyone privately, did I say something bad about this coach to everybody? So I kind of felt a little bit like, wow, I would never talk bad. I felt hurt. My feelings were hurt. And I felt like, wow, I'd never say something bad about the guy. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good guy. He just doesn't suit my fighting style. I tried to work with him, but we just didn't blend. You know, that happens sometimes, right? It's like a dance partner. Not everyone is, if you got two leaders, it doesn't work. So I never said anything bad about him. And I took offense to that. I felt like rather than ask everybody else, you should have came to me directly and asked me. So my feelings were hurt. I was immature, young, made a rush to say, okay, well, fuck this, then I'm out. You don't trust me. You don't like me. I'm going. And that's what I did. And yeah, it was just when I look back and say it out loud now, it sounds so childish, right? It sounds so crazy. But, you know, hey, sometimes fighters, we're not the most level-headed, smartest guys in the world. We make some emotional, silly decisions. But being older, we learn by our mistakes and we try to get better.
What'd you think of, like, you know, how the stuff that came with Jon and Rashad over time, you know? Rashad left because Jon was kind of rising from the outside looking in. You were there for probably some of that, right? But
I was there for all of it.
Oh, I thought
yeah.
maybe before that had happened, but
No. I was there for the whole of it. And in fact, that's when I left with Rashad to go to Denver.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had you don't need that, buddy. You're good. Don't mind. Just come in. You're right. Don't come in. You know, it's okay. I'm on the computer. Yes, you know, everyone's going to have a different opinion. Rashad has his opinion about it. I remember he was upset about the fact that usually when a high-level guy was coming, I remember when Andrei Arlovsky showed up, that we had a kind of a team meeting and they asked, hey guys, how does everyone feel if Andre wants to come and train here? Is everyone okay with it? Like other heavyweights, so forth, you know? And everyone was like, no, cool, he's a great guy, let's have him in. But we never had that meeting about Jon Jones. Greg just made the decision, and I think that put Richard's nose out of joint because he knew he was super talented. We watched him fight the first time he fought. We watched it at one of the coaches' houses, and we all said, "Wow, this kid's going to be a star one day." Like, wow, he's you could see his potential right from day one, and and I think Richard just took offense to that, and then he didn't want to be there no more.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you're talking about fighters and kind of how you have egos involved. Do you think it was strictly because Greg brought him in, or because you have another guy who's kind of your weight? Maybe he's going to fight you at some point.
Well, there was other guys there, Richard's weight, like Keith Jardine was his weight and stuff like that. There was other guys that were light heavyweights. I don't think it was that. I don't know. I mean, looking back over long term, and my memory's not always the best, so I could miss out some details. I just think it was like Richard just won the belt, and then did he just win it or did he just lose it? I don't know if he just won it or he just lost it. He lost it against Machida. Yeah, he just lost it against Machida. So he was already on a downer, and then I think it was like, are you going to give all your attention to this guy? This guy's going to be my future opponent one day. Blah 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 blah, and he just kind of made it all like, And I think if Richard is honest with himself, I don't know. I've never spoken to Richard in over 13, 14 years. We're no longer friends. I think probably he would look back and say that was the mistake in his career too. He seemed to very struggle in his career after he left Greg Jackson's.
Now, what do you think about, Jon's rise? He becomes this great fighter, but he's kind of gotten in his own way in the last few years. Well,
unfortunately, you can't put restrictions on. I think if you've got exceptional, talented people out there, right, they're always a little bit crazy. If you want to list off some amazing artists like Van Gogh, people like that, there's some crazy stories about them kind of guys, or amazing scientists. They're always a little bit out there, right? Even look at someone like Mike Tyson, amazing, creative, fantastic fighter. In his younger days, extremely wild and lived a party life and got himself into trouble. Unfortunately, Jon is super talented, and even going through all that stuff, still had amazing performances. Just imagine if he wasn't hooked or have the monkey on his back, if you like, as in the addictive personality. Just imagine how he would have performed without those problems or situations. So he still performed to that level and beat guys, extremely high level guys. Still going out partying. It's nuts.
Do you think he's going to fight in heavyweight, though? It's been like 2 years.
Yeah, I think he will.
Happen?
Yeah, I think he will.
What makes you think so? Because I have some people who think maybe he's not going to. It's kind of dragging out.
Well, yeah, it's been dragging out. I mean, I'm not coming from any inside information here because I haven't spoke to Jon in years either. So it's not a new fight. It's just a personal opinion. I could be completely wrong. So, yeah, it's just an opinion, right? So I just feel that he's been training well for a reason. I feel that he's still in his UFC contract, right? That's not going nowhere for a minute. So it's going to happen one way or another.
And the other thing is, I believe his girlfriend or wife is no longer with him. Wouldn't it be hard if you're living alone with that kind of personality, addictive personality, to not, maybe even harder, right?
I can't say, because don't forget, youth, and we all learn by our mistakes. So you may not learn, you can have one mistake, won't learn. Second mistake, try to learn. Third mistake, I'm trying a bit better. Fourth mistake, there is no book here, right? There is no by the fifth time you've got it, Some people learn by the first mistake. Some people don't make any mistakes. And so who knows? But I can't say about his personal life at all because I don't know it. I just wish him the very best as an athlete. And for a guy that's so superiorly talented, it would be a waste to see him not compete again.
Now, let's kind of talk about what you're doing in Plano. How did you come across that area?
I never even heard of Plano. So I was in Thailand for 6 years, and then before that I was in the Gold Coast, Australia. And then all roads are kind of leading back to America for me. So my daughter was into 5, 6 years old, and the school system in America, in Thailand, wasn't that good. Even though it was a private school, it wasn't the best. One of the teachers there actually got a bit heavy-handed with my daughter and hit her. So, of course, so you can imagine I was furious, and that kind of really opened my eyes up again to some things in Thailand for my child that wasn't going to match. But prior to her going to school, it was beautiful, right? Living on the vacation, eating great food, training hard in beautiful weather, earning good money, and living. Cost the dollar is so good there. Living so cheaply, you could live like a king. So it was beautiful, but yeah, all roads were kind of leading back to America. So unfortunately, my wife had some bad news that a family member had taken sick, and with the school system, it kind of like, everything's coming to an end. So we came back to America to see her family. When I came back, I thought, you know what, I need to kind of like reach out and see what's out there. So I set up a load of seminars. I think I did like 18 seminars across America and like 20 or something in Canada. During my seminar tour, a guy used to always message me online, like always asking me, "Hey James, can you take a look at my opponent for my fights for me, or my fighters have got this fight?" And when I get a chance at the airport, I would, check it out and give him a message back and try and give my opinion or so forth. So he obviously saw that I was back in America, and the guy said, "Oh, I've got a business opportunity for you. I know you're back in America. You should come out to the Dallas and see my business opportunity. Can I have your number?" And I was like, "No, not really." I don't give my number out. Like, what do you want? He said, "Well, I've got this business," and trying to tell me online. And I said, "Listen, if you're serious, I get a lot of opportunities, right, on social media and so forth. I said, if you're serious, fly me out, pay for my hotel. I'll come and check it out, and we'll go from there." So, yeah, he did. He flew me out, put me up in a hotel. I got to look at this little gym, and it was a lot smaller than he told me. And when I actually stayed for a few weeks to look at the memberships and so forth, it wasn't what they told me. It was all kind of fabricated. He just wanted to pass me over some debt, I think, and or get out of a lease or whatever and pass it to me. But during that time, I got to see the market research in Plano, where the gym was. I saw it's a very influential area, good 10-star school system, no real crime, and also no one with my background here. There was all these like small little martial arts facilities where you did jiu-jitsu here, a low-level Muay Thai over there, and a bit of kickboxing here, and karate, and there was no real, in my opinion, good MMA gyms with anybody coaching that had a good background in MMA. So I went back home and said, "Yeah, I don't want the business, but I'm going to open up this one." So I told my wife, we found the facility. It was 10,000 square feet. It was the biggest one probably in the town. And then I come back, got it in October. We opened in December. And then March, they closed us down for COVID. And then lucky enough, we were in Texas, right? So we reopened in May. And I've been going full force for the last 2.5 years.
And how's it gone, opening this gym in this area?
Yeah, it's awesome. We're very fortunate, very good, very busy. We signed a lot of people, which has been great. We've got a great clientele of members. Really has become like a nice group, like a family, really. Everyone's very helpful towards each other. Everyone in Plano has been really nice to me. And yeah, it's just a good group of people, and we all train hard. My fight team is doing well, growing, learning. Young guys coming through, some real high prospects, and just enjoying the process.
Now, what's it like being in Plano as someone from your background?
It's a little bit different. But no, I love it here. I really do love it here. I just bought another house. We bought a house a year, my wife and I, we bought a house like almost 18 months ago. Prior to that, I rented for the first year to make sure I liked the area. And then I bought a house. And then I just actually bought another house with a large plot of land. I want to actually put a farm on there and start doing my own food and crops and livestock and stuff like that.
The property tax in Texas is pretty crazy, though, yeah?
I just bought 12 acres, so yes, it's not cheap.
Yeah, because I live in Oklahoma, but I do some work in mortgages, and
Yeah.
I get a lot of calls from people in Texas because their mortgages are going up because of the property taxes and stuff.
Everything's going up, unfortunately, right now. But hey, it's the whole of America's happening, right? So let's not talk about politics. We could be here all day.
Like in Texas, they don't have state tax. Oklahoma, we have state. So the property tax, they get us on the state tax. And Texas, the property tax they get. Yeah, it's interesting how it happens. But,
sure.
As someone who grew up in America, I'm kind of familiar with, maybe how other areas of Texas are. So it's interesting that you ended up there. You know, it's,
Yeah, God has always had control of me and my path, I believe, and I've always tried to make decisions, but sometimes I think that he just laughs at me and guides me a different direction. So he's always done very well by me. If I was still in Thailand during COVID, we had no fights, no gyms open. I was in Australia. Australia had some very restricted COVID measures, which was my gym would have gone under there as well. No fights, no traveling. So yeah, Texas brought me here, and I'm very fortunate that this beautiful state is open. We haven't shut down. We've no restrictions, and we're doing very well.
now, are you going to do some more fights this year, or?
Yes, I'm looking at being scheduled sometime towards the end of the year. I think maybe September, October. I'm still signed with Glory, so I'm just waiting for them to give me my. In the meantime, I just train every day, teach my guys every day, train every day. So as you know, I'm in the gym right now. I'm working, training. But I've got some privates to go and teach. I've got my fight team to teach at 12:30. But just enjoying training, learning, and then when I get that call, I'm ready to step.
Now, what do you think of someone who's been around the game a long time, of what you're seeing now, maybe of the overall UFC, ONE FC? ONE FC looks like they might be starting to make a move in the U.S., you know, with Abu Dhabi and all that. The ADCC, they're going to be jointly working with them this year. What do you kind of think of, you know, what you're seeing of the MMA or the fight, kind of overall fight scene?
Well, it's definitely changed a lot, which is not a negative or it's just different. I mean, I do miss some of the old days where there wasn't just so much, politics involved. I mean, social media's took a huge part in the fight game nowadays, just in people's opportunities and not. I mean, luckily for me, I'm an older soldier, so I don't have to. I've already have my establishment. For these young kids now to be established and be picked up, like some of the UFC doesn't do this, but some of the smaller shows are like, how many followers does he have on Instagram? How many tickets can he sell? Like, fuck did that happen? What do you mean? It's your job to sell the tickets. Promoter is the promoter. The fighter is the fighter. Why has he got to sell tickets? It's your job to sell tickets, not his. But now it's kind of changed this way, right? So they're trying to make sure they're going to get popular people on their shows and who can sell the most tickets and this and that. But I mean, the level has completely changed. That's one really good thing about the sport, is that it's evolved very fast. Levels changed. When we started to do this, it was more like we came from like a certain martial art. Like for me, it was come from Muay Thai, kickboxing. Then I evolved into MMA. Where the young guys nowadays just learn MMA from day one. They're just doing jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, wrestling, boxing, strength and conditioning. They're just learning MMA from the start. So that's also, this is why these young guys are just getting super talented. Someone's asking me he wants to see inside my gym.
His daughter's top wrestlers in Oklahoma at maybe 15 years of age.
Yeah.
His daughter's really outstanding. She's a champion.
Yeah. And that's it, right? So there's like, but nowadays these kids are just full force going into MMA from the start. So their level is really improving. They're doing really well. They're growing fast. It's fantastic. So that's really good part of the sport. Yeah, it's just changing. Like most things are changing. It's just evolving, getting faster, getting more equipped. Athletes are getting better. The nutrition's getting better. The format, the blueprint is getting much more defined and focused on. Whereas before, there was more tough guys out there, more than talented. Now there's super talented guys as well as tough guys. So yeah, it's just coming up and it's getting faster and more furious and getting better, which is really, really cool to see.
How many guys do you have coaching there with you?
1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Six coaches and me.
Oh, okay. You just kind of find them in the area. Is that how it works?
Not really. I mean, some of them came to my gym to train, and then when I saw them train, I knew they were kind of talented, and then they trained under me for a certain period of time. Then I let them start coaching with beginners and working their way up. Some of the black belts were already black belts when they came here, so of course they were already accomplished jiu-jitsu guys. We just started putting our systems together, so my grappling system and their grappling system started to build and experience, and we just started to build those blocks together. And then, yeah, a lot of the other students that I have or teachers that I have have pretty much been my students.
Now, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I was just wondering if people wanted to follow what you're doing, or there's anything you want to kind of let people know about before we.
No, just they can follow us on social medias everywhere at McSweeney MMA for myself on Instagram, or McSweeney Martial Arts for my gym in Plano. But no, we're very active on social media. We have our social media guys forward all the personal messages all come through directly to me. And so I get, if I don't get to see it myself, usually I'm busy, they send me what's directly mine, and then I'll go on and message everyone back directly. But no, it's just thank you for everyone, as always. Want to take the time out of their day to even talk to me and ask questions. And then I hope for anything they ask, I'm always going to give my answers, and I hope they like it. But if they, it's just want to know.
I want to ask you one other thing. I lived in Japan, for 3 years. I lived there, 2002 to 2005. I know you fought over there. What do you maybe I always like to talk to you about what are your kind of like your memories of Japan, just as we wrap it up.
Well, Japan's beautiful. I mean, for fighters, it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, the culture is beautiful. Their whole history in Japan is about respect and honor. They come from a very big warrior background, right? So their sumo wrestlers are seen like gods over there. The fighters that go there are very well protected and very well looked after. So yeah, it was really awesome. Just a very beautiful culture, beautiful people. I will never forget some of the arenas that I fought in there with so many people, and we're just walking in, and when it's so loud, and then once the fight starts, like it's silent. It's almost eerie. It's crazy. But yeah, just very good. So I actually, who knows? Maybe I'll get a fight there again one day.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing like I feel nostalgic about, and I feel like a lot of guys that were there, they feel kind of the same way. They miss it,
Yeah. Well, you missed the old days. Pride was fantastic. K1 was fantastic. Those early days, and the style of fighting was so aggressive, and it was new, right? It was like prime time TV, and it wasn't like now. I think it's so saturated. There's so many shows on every week, whether it's locally advanced or TV. There's a show a week, which is great. But you never forget the old days when there was a big boxing match. You went around your friend's house. It was a big deal. You bought the pay-per-view and you watch the fights. Or when the UFC was happening once a month, you'd be like, "Wow, let's all go to the bar and watch and have some drinks and have a good time and enjoy these crazy fights." Or Pride was online. You set up till crazy hours of the morning to catch a Pride event.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve balls and New Year's specials. They were like really super special events. So yeah, I mean, that's really good nostalgically to look back. It's a shame it's still not like that, in my opinion. But yet again, I'm an older soldier, as I say. But in general, it's just yeah, evolvement, right? It's very good that the sport is so popular. That's what we watch this stuff for, was to create it and to make it so popular. And now it is so popular, we can't be like, oh, it's it's on all the time. Well, that's why it's growing, right? That's what we wanted. We wanted the sport to grow. We wanted it for our kids. I have a very big kids program in my gym. We have over 100 and something children in my program. And that's what you want, the future stars of tomorrow. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really have to open a gym. I would have been very... my wife would have been happy if I just retired and just sat back and just trained and just sat back and but for me it's not this. I'm still very hungry to fight. I've still got fire in my belly. I don't know if that'll ever change, but at some point I will have to step down. I think that I will finish. I'm gonna have another fight with Glory. Extend my contract. I think I've got another year or two left in me. And then I'll just dedicate as I do now, dedicate my spare time and my time to giving back to a sport that's been so beautiful and so kind to me.
Have you heard about this Tenshin Takeru fight that's going to happen next month in Japan?
No.
Like they're bringing out the big shebang again, like 4-hour preview. Because like Tenshin, he's never lost in kickboxing. And
Yep.
Takeru, he hasn't lost in 10 years. So these guys have been the same weight. They both live in Tokyo, but they never fought each other.
Okay.
So they're fighting like in a neutral promotion, not even in their. He's in K1, and then Tenshin is in Ryzen and Rise, I think. So they're gonna have like 4-hour pre-show. It's gonna be on national TV, just like the old days.
Oh,
I think
that's
it's
awesome.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful, amazing. I'll be tuning in to watch it for sure.
Yeah, you might want to check that out. Well, I
Definitely.
appreciate taking the time. I know you got privates coming up and all, but
It's me over there. But I appreciate you guys having me on, and of course, anytime you need to, just let me know.
all right, I appreciate it. It's great talking to you.
Thank you, guys. Of course.